So here's another problem where we're going to compare box plots to make a certain conclusion. So let's read the question. Just take a minute, just pause the video and read the question. But I'll just give you a quick overview. What we're measuring for the two groups is the fasting plasma glucose, and the ideal reading should be between 90 and 130 milligrams per deciliter. So there are two groups, and each group gets a treatment. Group 1 has 18, so n equals 18 for group 1. And what they get is a diabetes control class that they have to attend. And group 2, that has n equals 16 diabetics, they just receive individual instructions, something like what our primary care physicians would advise us if we were diabetics. So these are the two treatments, and at the end of a certain period of time, the blood glucose levels are tested and the results are tabulated, and of course these are the box plots for the two groups. And side-by-side box plots help us compare the two data sets, and clearly group 1, the box plot for group 1 is set lower than the box plot for group 2, which overall indicates that the diabetes levels for group 1 came down quite a bit as compared to the diabetes levels of group 2 that just got individual instruction. But in order to rationalize our conclusion, we have to come up with concrete reasons why we think that group 1 did better than group 2. So we could do 3 standard things. The first one is just generally comparing the two box plots. Overall, you can say that overall box plot for group 1 is set lower than the box plot for group 2. So the range of values for group 1 is between, let's say, right here. So that's like a 20 or a 30. And the maximum is about 260 or so for group 1. So overall, the numbers range between 30 and 260. Remember, these are outliers, so we don't need to count those. There could be people who probably didn't follow instructions, but overall, we are looking at a majority that basically had blood glucose levels between 30 and 260 overall, as compared to 130, which is the minimum for group 2, and a maximum of 280. So clearly, overall, the range of values for group 2 was greater than the range of values for group 1. That says that the diabetes or the blood glucose levels for group 2 was higher than the blood glucose levels for group 1. So here we are looking at the overall picture. We could also specifically compare medians. That's one way of doing it. At least one of the reasons for your conclusion. So you could compare the two medians. The median for group 1 is about a 145 or so. You could say this is around a 140 or a 145 as compared to a 190 for group 2, which is much higher. So 190 milligrams per deciliter. So please use units of measurement when you write down these statements. Now, the third thing we could say is, remember that the median splits the data set into 2 equal parts, and if we add the quartiles, the lower and the upper quartiles, along with the median, it splits the data set into 4 equal parts. This is the middle 50%. So the middle 50% of group 1 lies between about, this is group 1, about 170 and about a 120. So between a 120 and a 170, the middle 50% of group 1 is between 120 and 170, whereas group 2, the blood glucose levels of the middle 50% lies between 160, which is much higher than 120, and 225, which is again much higher than 170 milligrams per deciliter. So that's one more reason that you can add to overall justify that group 1 did better than group 2.